In 2015, we left the rat race and went to the farm. We bought a 100-year-old farmhouse and 9 acres. After 3 years of extensive renovations, we can finally call ourselves College Hill Farm.
Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today, we're picking shuck beans. Today, I'm going to pick beans for shuck beans. Now, we like to use the little white greasy beans that we planted, but also, I'm going to be picking beans that I'll save for seed. And I'll show you that in a different video, how you save your bean seed. But today I'm going to show you how to do shuck beans. Now the reason I want to show you how to do shuck beans, a lot of y'all may not know what shuck beans are. Shuck beans are dehydrated or dried beans. Now we don't like them as well out of the dehydrator. I don't know what that is, but we just don't. We like them strung, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's the same way I save my bean seed. So some of that video, the bean saving video and the shuck bean video will kind of overlap. But the way we do shuck beans, of course, I've got to get here in the garden and pick them. You can see it's September the 30th. We planted these on June the 2nd for the beans. I planted the corn right at the end of May, and it was about that high when I planted the beans. You can go back in our previous video and see that. Today is June the 30th. It's 48 degrees, hence the sweatshirt. It's like 7:40 in the morning, and I'm going to get here in the bean field and pick beans. So I thought I'd bring you along. I'm going to use the GoPro a little bit so you can see. It's a weedy mess when you pick your beans this late in the fall, but that's okay. You'll see a lot of our corn is down. This sweet corn is not a great substrate to run your beans on, but it does all right. I would have done a lot better if I'd planted more beans in the hickory cane. You can see how the sweet corn is here. Some's up, some's down. Look at the hickory cane over there. It's almost all still standing. Now I've had some deer problems with the deer getting in it, but it's not nearly been the problem that sweet corn has. It just falls over after it's spent. So the hickory cane will stand right there in the field and allow me to harvest it on into November. So I'm going to go ahead and get at this and show you the result. Now, when you're picking shuck beans, one thing you want to do is you want to get good, full beans. You don't want to get any flabs. You want beans with seeds in them. You know, that doesn't have seeds in it. Neither does these. So that concerns me this late in the season, and those not having seeds in them. Yeah, really concerns me, because I need to harvest these for seed too. No, there's no bean in that either. Uh-oh. It has been a bad year. A bad, bad, bad year. Oh, here we go. Here's some seed. Here's some beans that'll have seeds in them. Now when I pick these, after I pick them, of course these are greasy beans. After I pick over these others will fill out some more. Alright folks, for the record, this is probably the worst bean harvest I've harvested in 30 years. I'm sure we've lost seed of our Lazy Wife beans because I planted all I had and not one vine had a bean on it. Now that's two 100-foot rows. This is the second wettest September on record in Kentucky. Now I had a few beans that were molded, so that could have been the deal, but there just weren't any beans on them. So I don't understand what's going on. I hope it's not something bad. I've been gardening for 46 years and never had a greasy bean harvest like this. These are my greasy beans. This is it. I got about a third of a 5-gallon bucket off of two 100-foot rows. Normally, those beans would give me 3 full 5-gallon buckets off of those 100-foot rows. Now I hope I got enough beans to save seed back. If I don't, I've still got some shuck beans in the freezer. So I'm going to show you how to fix these for shuck beans, but it's pretty much the same way you save for seed. So I'll have these and I'll have some shuck beans in the freezer, greasy bean shuck beans. So I'll show you how to do that when we get to it. But like I said, this has been the worst, at least 3 decades. It's been the worst bean season I've ever seen. I've lost seed of beans that I've had for 30 years. I'm a little upset. My speckled greasies didn't come up good, but I had plenty of seed left of those from last year. My white half runners that we've had for 20 years, 30, they didn't do anything either. So I don't know what this is this year. There's plenty of bloom, but there's no beans. So I'm going to take these in and I'll show you what to do with them. Here we are on the back porch, about to get ready to make our shuck beans. What do you need? Well, you need the beans. Got those here in our 5-gallon bucket. You need a bowl that you can take and put the beans in. I don't like to do it right out of a 5-gallon bucket, so I'm going to put them here in this bowl. And then I'll rinse the bowl out after I'm done. And this is the way you start for making shuck beans. You want beans that aren't real buggy. So what you do is you start stringing those beans. Okay? Because now greasy beans have a string. And I'll show you. Right here's a bean. There's this tip right here. You pull that and it starts a string. That pulls down to the back. And then it just pops off. Okay, that's how you string a green bean. I don't know if you needed me to show you that or not, but that's what I did. So I'm going to string a bunch of these and set them off to the side. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. Now, if I was just saving these for seed, I wouldn't bother with stringing them. I'd just go ahead and use them. But since I'm going to use these for shuck beans, I'm going to go ahead and string them. So I'll get a bunch of these strung and then I'll come back to you and show you what I do with them. Here we are back. And what I've just got old regular sewing thread like you can buy anywhere at the dollar store or wherever. This regular sewing thread, and I've got it doubled. And I've got it about 2 feet long, 2.5 feet long. And all you want to do is you pick one of your beans there, and I always like to pick one of these little ones, and you take your needle and run through it, and then come down here and tie this thread onto this bean. I'll get that tied on. Well, drop my bean, grab another one. Won't go hunting for it. Alright, tie on. Alright, now that bean is tied on my string. Now, you need to be careful with this string. It's easy to get all tangled up. So I just take the string and I put 4 or 5 on at a time and then slide them down. Now my grandmother, or my mother, my mother, always dried her beans by just putting them on a bed sheet and setting them either on the hood of the car or on the well house while the sun was out. That was the way she dried her beans. Now my grandmother, my great-grandmother, Fat Granny, always strung them. And I like stringing them, and the reason being is they hang here in the house. We've got an upstairs bedroom that we hang them in. We've got a pole up like you'd hang clothes on, and we string our beans and hang them up there. And they just hang there for 4 or 5 weeks till they get good and dry. So you can see how they're starting to come out on the string. And I'll show you when I get this string on what I do with them. Here are about all the beans that will fit on my string. So you can see it's about 2 foot long. So I'm going to go ahead and take my needle off, and it's an easy process. You just break it off. Now I'm going to take this string and I'm going to tie a loop in it. Well, if I don't drop it. These beans are heavy on the string. I'll get a loop tied. Now, there's a string of green beans ready to be hung up to dry. Now, it doesn't take anything special to dry these. We dry them. You can set them on a door. You can hang them on a door facing. We've hung them in front of the fireplace. We've hung them a little bit everywhere. But like I say, we've got a room upstairs that that didn't have a closet, so we've got a pole up. I guess a lot like it's one of those extension poles. You can turn it and it gets farther apart and spring loaded. We've got that pole up. So what we do is we take a coat hanger, hang our beans on our coat hanger like this, and then we'll hang a set on this hook and a set on this hook. And what that'll do is it allows us to hang 3 strings of beans at a time to dry up there. And they'll hang probably 3 or 4 weeks. It really doesn't matter where they're at in your house as long as it's not damp. You know, you won't want to hang them in the bathroom because they'd mold on you. But hang them in a bedroom where the air's going to run or the heat's going to run, and they're going to dry right out. I could hang them right here in this window and they would dry really well. So I'm going to show you now. I've got some beans that are already dry, so I'm going to show you what we do with those to get them ready to be shuck beans.
Okay, folks. Well, apparently the audio died out on this little segment. Here I've got my beans. Through the magic of video, I already have a set of nice dry shuck beans, and I'm going to show you what we do with those. The very first thing you want to do is you want to get the string out of the way and take the beans off the string. And as I do that, I just break the string to make it easier and quicker. So you break the string and pull the shuck beans off. You know, it just makes it a lot faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all these beans off of these strings, and then I'll show you what we do with them.
Alright, here's my beans that I've broken. My mom used to break her beans and then lay it out on a sheet out on top of the car or out on the well house or something like that in direct sunlight and let them dry. She broke hers first, but I have found, and I'll just tell you flat out, I have found that breaking the beans after they're dry is a heck of a lot easier than breaking them before you dry them. So it takes a longer probably to string them up, but it doesn't take longer than it does to break them. And then you've got to be here and walk in and out all the time. You've got to pay attention if it's going to rain. You've got to bring them in before the dew hits. There's a whole bunch. Where this way, it's kind of like Ron Popeil, set it and forget it. I take these, put them on the strings, hang them up, let them dry. Then I break them up like this. And then all you do is you just take a baggie, and you want to put them up in quarts. You don't want to put them up in gallons, because the truth is a quart bag, 2/3 of the way full, is a lot of shuck beans. And I mean a lot. Because you've got to soak these and rehydrate them. You got to wash them. Because remember, we didn't wash them before we put them on the strings. And why don't we wash them? Well, here's why I don't wash them. I don't wash them because washing these beans is a surefire way to get mildew. Now, there's a baggie, about 1/3 full. Now, when you get that baggie full, that's a whole mess of beans. Okay, for a meal with 4 people, that's a whole mess of beans. So I'm going to go ahead and take the beans off of these other strings here, but that's pretty well it. You can store these. I'm going to put these in the baggie, right on here what they are. Then I'll put them in the freezer. But you don't have to put them in the freezer. I've got a whole bunch of them stored in mason jars with the lids on in the basement. You can do that too. I've got one of those things where you can suck the air out of the mason jar, and so you can do that too. That's the way I store a lot of them too. So shuck beans are one of the best things on the planet. I love them. Mom loved them. You know, my family's made shuck beans as long as I can remember. And there's a reason, because they're awesome. One last thing before I go. Shuck beans are one of those things that we save till the winter time to do up. Because there's something therapeutic about sitting on your couch and hearing this sound. It's just like going to therapy. It's just calming. You know, you sit there and you watch TV and you break shuck beans. So that's it. On to the next thing. I'd like to thank you for visiting with us at College Hill Farm today. I hope you found our videos entertaining and or informative. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on both Facebook and YouTube. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.